Hi, this is a PGT14 DTH for a Tim Hortons. Today we're going to show you how to diagnose and replace a bad temperature sensor. I'm Tim Walker. I work at Star Manufacturing. I'm in the technical service department. So let's dig in and get started. Alright, the first thing you're going to do, we'll turn this unit on. It shows the temperature as well as the timer countdown. Should mean that this unit is heating up. To see if you have a bad temp probe, press and hold the temperature button on the left hand side. This is displaying it has a probe 3 error, which is a bottom temperature sensor. So what we'll do is cut this unit off, unplug it from the wall, verify that it's cool to the touch, and then we can begin working. You have 2 screws on each side for a total of 4. Those screws will need to be removed to gain access to the internal components of this unit. Then you will pull slightly upward, bring the bottom platen towards you, lay it on its side. This will reveal the internal components of it. To test a bottom temp probe, you have connections on the inside of the control panel. The bottom temperature sensor is on pins E13 and E14. So we'll need to remove those terminals and do an Ohms test on that particular probe. Once you have taken the wires off the control board, you will need a volt multimeter. You want to set that to ohms. You'll take 1 meter lead from each and stick into each terminal to get an ohms value. As you can see, this one is reading open load, so therefore this probe needs to be changed. Your upper left temperature sensor will be plugged into E1 and E2. Your upper right temperature sensor will be plugged into E11 and E12. Your bottom temperature sensor will be plugged into E13 and E14. Alright, to get to the gain access to the temperature sensor, you have a couple of nuts here that you have to remove. You also have an insulation support that you have to remove. Next, you will take and drop down the insulation. Under the inside of the insulation, you will see the temp probe runs in here and into the bottom platen. You have 1 self-tapping screw. You do not need to remove it, just loosen it up enough to get the probe out. Once you have that loose, the probe should slide out of place. Simply take the probe, pull it away from the insulation, unfeed it through the wiring, and remove the probe. You will want to visually inspect the entire length of the temperature sensor before installing it to make sure that there is no broken wires on any end of it, and also make sure that your terminals are secured good. Alright, once you have the probe removed, you want to take the new probe, run it through the tubing here, come back up through the insulation. Before installing the temperature sensor, you want to use a silicone heat sink compound on the end of the probe, as shown here. Insert the new probe into the housing on the bottom platen. bring the temperature sensor holder over it, tighten it back down, make sure it's good and snug. You want to reinstall the insulation. Insulation support bracket will go back on, tighten, put with 2 nuts. Tighten these back down. At that point, you will want to take and hook up the 2 terminals back onto pins E13 and E14 on the control board. Your upper left temperature sensor will be plugged into E1 and E2. Your upper right temperature sensor will be plugged into E11 and E12. Your bottom temperature sensor will be plugged into E13 and E14. You want to reinstall the bottom plat. Reinstall the 4 screws that hold the bottom platen on. Then you'll want to take and plug the unit back in. Once you have the bottom platen back on, you will plug the unit up. Turn the unit on. You will see it shows 525 degrees. Shows your countdown timer. Press and hold the temperature button. At this point it shows that it's actually starting to heat. With the completion of this, you have successfully diagnosed and replaced a bad temperature sensor. This concludes our video tutorial. If you have any questions, please call 1-800-264-7827 for the technical service department. Thank you.